He will be hosting ESPN's NFL draft coverage. It's Mike Greenberg joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Greenie, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you guys very much for having me.
We are happy to have you on here. I'm actually not going to start with a question about the Seahawks, though we will eventually get there. Instead, I'm going right to the top, Mike. We're all assuming it's Cam Ward at number 1 overall, but then what? I've seen like a million different scenarios. I mean, what happens at 2 and 3?
I think the best player in this draft, according to pretty much everyone that I've asked, and that's all I do is ask, to be clear. I'm not an evaluator, I'm not an expert, I'm not an analyst, but I'm sort of an amalgamator of all of the opinion that is out there. I don't know almost anyone who doesn't think Travis Hunter is the best player in this draft. There's obviously a quarterback tax that you pay, and the Titans desperately need a quarterback, so I believe they will take Cam Ward. Everything that they have done so far suggests that is their plan. At that point, I think anyone who doesn't take Travis Hunter is probably making a mistake. So I think Cleveland should take Travis Hunter at number 2. I don't know for sure that they will. There are some people who think they're going to take Abdul Carter from Penn State. I think those two guys go 2 and 3 in either order. I think the unhappiest team and fan base in the league at that point is in New England, because I think they were really hoping that two quarterbacks would go in front of them, so they would get their shot at either Hunter or Carter. I don't expect that to happen. And then I think the storyline of the draft becomes, where does Shedeur Sanders go? Does he come off the board as early as 6 to the Raiders? Does someone trade up to take him that early? Does he go 9 to New Orleans? Or does he go into a bit of a fall, which we've seen obviously many times before in the draft? I obviously don't know the answers to those questions, but that, I think, of all the scenarios, is the most interesting one about the first half of round 1.
All right, Mike, I'm going to take you away from the draft. I'm sure Stacy will take you back to the draft.
I will.
If people don't know you, you are a big New York Jets fan. And we've had both of your boys here now. We had Gino here, and I believe that his time in New York just made him stronger, resilient, and he comes here and we reap the benefits. And now we got Sam Darnold, who spent some time there, and it seems like it might have made him stronger and resilient. Do you believe in what he did last year, and do you feel like he'll be able to duplicate what he did with the Vikings here in Seattle?
I have 2 answers to your question. Do I believe in Sam Darnold? Yes. Do I believe that he will duplicate what he did a year ago? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure Kevin O'Connell isn't the best offensive coach in the National Football League, and I think Sam Darnold was the recipient of that, or the beneficiary of that, and I think that to expect him to play to that level without, and I love Jackson Smith and Jigba, but he's not Justin Jefferson. No one is Justin Jefferson. So do I expect him to play at quite the level he played it for the overwhelming majority of last season with Minnesota? Probably not. Do I believe in Sam? Yes, I do. Look, the Jets did everything they could to destroy that kid's career, to destroy his confidence, to destroy his reputation, to absolutely destroy him. If the Jets had set out to annihilate his career, they couldn't have done so any more effectively than they wound up doing with him. So I am extremely impressed that he was able to bounce back from any of it at all. He definitely has the talent. He is turnover prone. That has been the knock on him going back to his days at USC. He will put the ball in harm's way. My colleague and friend Teddy Bruschi on Sunday NFL Countdown says all the time, when you're playing defense against him, the mantra amongst the defenders is, he's going to throw us one, you got to catch it. He's going to throw us one, you got to catch it. And that would be my biggest concern. I think it is not realistic to think that's going to get coached out of him. So I think he will remain a slightly high-risk, high-reward player, but I think he is more than good enough to win with. So I like the move, and he is a player I will always root for, because the way his career started was genuinely unfair.
You say that you believe in Sam. Is that a belief you've always had, or was there a season you saw, and it could be this past season, or something you saw that made you believe in him?
No, I didn't want the Jets to give up on him. When the Jets had the second pick in the draft in 2021, Sam played for the Jets for 3 years. They tanked 2 of them. Right? The Jets were legitimately not trying to win 2 of his 3 seasons. They had absolutely terrible coaching. when he was going into that, he would have been going into his fourth year. The Jets had the second pick in the draft. They decided to take Zach Wilson and trade him away. I was campaigning on the air, begging on the air for the Jets to keep Darnold, trade that second pick for the king's ransom you could have gotten for it. If you think back to that year, think about what San Francisco gave up to move up to the third spot to take Trey Lance. The Jets would have gotten at least that, if not more, from them or someone to trade that second pick and build around Sam Darnold. That's what I wanted then, and I still think it would have been the right thing to do. So I've always believed in him. I will admit that there were times that I worried that the Jets had just destroyed him. Some of his struggles in Carolina, I thought it was possible that his lot in life was just to become a journeyman backup because the Jets had candidly destroyed his career. And so that's what I mean when I say the most impressive thing I can tell you about him is that he persevered through that, came out the other side, and was still ready with excellent coaching, first in San Francisco and then in Minnesota last year, to put together the kind of season that he had. So I believe in him, and generally speaking, I always have.
Hey, Mike, the Browns have that second pick. Would it be foolish of them not to go quarterback, or do you like them teaming up Abdul Carter with Myles Garrett over there?
I think they should take Travis Hunter, and I base that exclusively on the fact that everyone says he's the best player. We live in a world in which you cannot find almost anything that everyone agrees on. This is something everyone agrees on, and I've got people comparing him to Shohei Ohtani. He is such a unicorn. I believe he will be a contributor on both sides of the ball. He will be, I think, a superstar on one side and a legitimate contributor on the other, whichever way it winds up going. So I think ultimately, I think Cleveland's quarterback this year is going to be Kirk Cousins. I think they will ultimately pry Cousins out of Atlanta, and he will be there. Stefanski will get back together with him, and he will play representative quarterback for them. And I would, if I were in their shoes, I would take Travis Hunter, and when push comes to shove, that's what I think they will do.
I am going to talk about potentially QB2 off the board. Greeny, you know a lot of people. You hear a lot of things. We're talking to a very well-connected person. What are you hearing about Sanders? Do you think ideas of his slide are massively overblown and kind of trendy, or do you think there's a real possibility he goes outside the top 10?
I think there is a possibility.
Okay.
It's so hard to put a percentage chance on it. Dan Orlovsky, whose opinion I value on this stuff as much as anyone I've ever worked with, said on our show last week that Shedeur Sanders is the most complicated quarterback evaluation he's ever had to make. And I think that is very much in keeping with what I have been hearing. There are people who like him a lot, and there are people who say they would not be even remotely interested in him in round one. So what do we know? We know that it only takes one team to love him. So could that team still be the Raiders despite re-signing Geno? Could that team be New Orleans at 9, who needs a long-term answer? Could it be someone that we're not expecting who trades up if they see him falling a little bit? If I had to bet on it right now, I would bet he does go inside the top 10, but not 3. I think the ship has sailed on the Giants. So I think he'll get to 6 for sure. I don't think the Raiders will take him. I don't think the Jets will take him. That gets us to 8. My gut feeling is that the Saints take him at 9, or someone trades up in that ballpark to take him. So if I had to bet on it, I would bet that he goes inside the top 10, but late in that. And if he doesn't, and listen, I'm not telling you I'm predicting this. I'm telling you I would not consider it the most shocking thing I've ever seen if Jackson Dart winds up getting drafted ahead of him. I don't expect it. I wouldn't bet on it. I would not be absolutely stunned if Jackson Dart winds up coming off the board before he does. In that scenario, I think both of them have fallen a ways, and then we are outside the top 10.
Good stuff. He will be hosting ESPN's NFL draft coverage. It's Mike Greenberg, kind enough to join us. Thanks so much, Greeny.
Thanks, Greeny.
Guys, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Have a good one.